Hey, this is Carla from the Butcher Babies.
This is George Corner Fisher from Cannibal Corpse.
Hey, this is Rex from Kill Devil Hill. It's Wednesday 13. This is Dad from Devil Driving.
This is Motorist from Quad. You're listening to Rabid Noise
on Rabid Radio.
Turn it up.
Welcome back to Rabid Noise on Rabid Radio. That was Dusk from Anathema's Distant Satellites album. And joining us on the program now is frontman Vincent Cavanagh. Great to have you on the show with us, man. What's going on?
All right, Nev. Yeah, just sat at home and looking forward to getting out this afternoon. Right now it is 11:15 in the morning where I am. So this is my last interview for Australia of the day. After that, I'm going to go to a nearby park. I'm going to be playing some new tunes on my headphones. I'm going to try and write some vocal lines and that, and then come home, maybe record a bit, do some more interviews this afternoon. So yeah, pretty busy day with the band. Really, it's good.
That is good, man. You could be working.
Beats working for a living, right? Yeah.
That's exactly it, man.
Yeah, you know what? That's important you say that, Nev, though, because you know you've got a responsibility. If you're lucky enough to not have to get up and do a 9 to 5, then you've got a responsibility to put the hours in every day. You know, you don't get a free ride, and especially like I can't remember who said this now. I think it was Bill Bear. Funnily enough, he said if you're like the captain of your own ship and you're not steering it every day, then you're just fucking drifting, aren't you? You know, you've got to put the hours in, you've got to work. And sometimes it's just an exercise in self-discipline to actually physically put the hours in when nobody's on your shoulder forcing you to do it, you know. And you've got to do it. So but fortunately for me, I've got like a little home studio recording setup, and it's kind of like how I enjoy passing the time of day, you know. It's like it's my favorite thing to do, you know. So it's and there's so much to do at the moment, you know. There's I'm working on all different kinds of music, so I've got loads of ideas that need finishing off. So there's always something to do.
Do you get yourself in like a bit of routine? You know, it's like you're saying, you know, you don't have to go to a 9 to 5, but to keep yourself motivated, because it must be easy to get sort of distracted. It's you know what's harder if you're working at home. Like if you've got like I said, I've got a home studio, and that can be a distraction because you're at home and sometimes there's the temptation to just chill. But if that happens, what I'll do is I can work on my laptop. So I can go out, and quite often I found myself, okay, you know what, I'm just going to go sit somewhere quiet, like a quiet cafe somewhere. I'm going to put my headphones and work in a different environment. It's just a case of getting out the house sometimes. I read this interview with John Hopkins. It's a brilliant. Do you know John Hopkins at all? No, I don't. Sorry, man.
Yeah, you should check out it. Album he made called Immunity. He's doing all kinds of things, John Hopkins. He's a wonderfully talented writer, producer, composer, electronic guy mainly, but he does all kinds of different kinds of music. And he did this album called Immunity, which I think was one of the best albums of. I'm not sure if it was 2013 when it came out actually, but beautiful record, amazing. And he had this motivational thing where he deliberately went to hire a different premises and build a studio somewhere else because he needed that routine of getting out the house every day, getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning and going to work, because there's just a temptation of not having that discipline when you're at home.
That's a good way of doing it, man. Because I mean, if it's
if you can afford it, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, if I had the money to hire a studio somewhere in London, like to build my own studio, I'd be there now. You know, but no, not yet. Anyway.
But I mean, technology. I mean, these days, as you said, you got your laptop. You can go anywhere. You can take an acoustic. You know, it's not like
I do it on planes. You know, like planes, trains when I'm traveling, or on a tour bus. You know, because there's a lot of traveling time with this job, and it's the best thing to do. I'd rather sit there and open Logic than watch a movie any day of the week. You know, so it's the best thing to do, man. It just makes it way more interesting, you know, because traveling is fucking boring.
I hear that a lot from fans. But do you sometimes, to get yourself a little bit of inspiration, do you sometimes move away and like listen to some different kind of music or watch a movie or something to draw a bit of inspiration from before you hit the... Yeah, you can do, or even just go for a walk, man. You know, simple. Just take your mind off things, go and do something else. That's what I'm going to do next, because I know I've got a few hours this afternoon to crack on with a few things, but I'm not ready to do it right now after doing these interviews, you know, so I'll need to go out and clear my head for an hour, and then I'll come back and I'll work, you know, that kind of thing.
That's a good plan, man. That's definitely a good plan. I wish I could do that. Maybe one day. Well, you guys were here, was it about this time last year? And that it's rare for a band to tour down here more than once in a couple of years. You must really like us down here or something.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're a boss. You're the funniest bunch of bastards we've met on tour in a while. We had so much fun last time meeting everybody. And do you know what? It was really laid back. It kind of felt familiar. It's like we already knew everybody, you know what I mean? It's kind of bizarre. But yeah, it's going to be a lot more fun now because we've got a few more days and we're going to some other places as well. So looking forward to that. We're going to New Zealand as well. So that's going to be fucking great. I'm looking forward to that immensely. And then, you know, and then we'll come back and we'll write another album and then come back over. You know, how does that sound? It sounds like a pretty good deal.
That sounds pretty awesome to me, man. You should just move here.
Do you know what? There's worse places to live, absolutely, but I don't know. It's a bit far.
But it's funny, man. You know, you're saying there's a bit of familiarity. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. There's a bit of, man, there's something about, you know, the Australians and you know, the English that, you know, out of all the interviews I've done, you know, we seem to connect. We can talk and
yeah, the familiarity is there. It's a kind of we both like taking the piss, don't we?
Yeah.
And we're you know, like doing this kind of thing it's an obligation, you know, it's part of the job, but it's you know, don't take yourself too seriously, you know what I mean?
When you do acoustic shows, do you guys like approach your set differently in any way? Do you?
Yeah. Sometimes the songs are have a different interpretation because I don't know. You can change the rhythm. You can do different. We use looper pedals. So these acoustics. So if you're so yeah, you can change the angle on a song completely. And that's good because you've always got a little bit of elbow room as well to improvise a little bit and maybe try a couple of things that you didn't try in the previous night, you know. So it's never like a Xeroxed copy of your album, and it's pretty cool, man. I enjoy that. I enjoy the freedom of playing acoustically, you know.
Can it be hard doing that and trying to reel the song back in? Sometimes, you know, it might take a bit of a life on its own and you just have to...
Yeah, just let it go. Like, I mean, if usually it'll be something like an outro, you know, or like, let's say the second half of a song. So if it's got like an instrumental break at the end, that's where you can really just let it go somewhere else and try different things. And it's different every night. And I think just let it happen is the key for that one.
It must be amazing to have that freedom musically, because some bands they can't, you know.
Yeah, well, you can and you can't. It's for us when we're doing. There's a bit less freedom when we do the full band thing. There's definitely more freedom on this acoustic. So that's it. Kind of makes it a little bit more exciting for us, really. But it's one side of what we do. It's the songs are interpreted differently. They're played differently. It can sound pretty full because you, like I said, with these looper pedals, you know, you've got rhythms, bass lines, riffs, arpeggios, riffs. You've got my guitar's a bit more. I've got like this octave reverb sound that I use a lot, and it sounds a bit like an organ, you know. And then you've got a piano, and you've got the three voices, so it ends up sounding quite full. And so that's one side of it. You've got obviously the albums, the main albums. We've got a kind of classical side as well. We did a classical album called Falling Deeper, and that's always part of the sound.
And we've kind of got this electronic angle on things as well now. So that's interesting.
Where are you drawing from that, like with the electronic stuff? Like, what influences would you say that have come into play there?
I think we've always been massive fans of electronic music, even since going back to when we were kids. But I think properly around, when about 17, from then onwards, like getting into Aphex Twin and that, like his first stuff, Aphex Twin, Hard Floor, the Asperian CP, really proper banging acid techno. John especially was heavily into electronic music during the 90s, and it's only been the last couple of years really that we've actually had the equipment to produce it. Because if you're gonna go down that road, don't piss about. Like there's so many people out there doing it, and there's loads of people with all the gear and no fucking idea, you know. And we're determined, if we were gonna do electronic stuff, that it has to cut. It has to be good enough. And we're not going to put it out otherwise. We're not going to put it out just because we've got the gear or just because we felt like doing something electronic. It's got to be good enough. We've got very high standards where that's concerned. I've already mentioned John Hopkins. He's incredible. There's some really, really interesting, incredibly talented people doing the electronic music. I've just bought Murkoff's new thing. Murkoff's like a Mexican geezer who's living in Spain. He's incredible. Squeaky Lobster. Squeaky Lobster's a great name, isn't it? yeah. You should check him out. He's good. Flying Lotus, Caribou. I like Atoms for Peace. I like what they were doing with the crossover stuff. So I like people. I like like even like people like Max Richter, who's done a little bit of. It's not really electronic. It's kind of like a contemporary crossover classical. You know, I like people who blend different worlds together. You know.
No, I'm the same, man. I'm not really big into like just straight electronic stuff, but I like it when it's done pretty smart.
Aphex Twin is still the best.
Oh man, he is, and it kind of annoys me, you know, that he was the first that was doing all the weird stuff, and then what's his name, Skrillex comes along, and you mention Aphex Twin to the young kids, and they're like, "Who's that?"
Yeah, Skrillex is all right, you know. He's got a few decent tunes, you know, but I don't think he's all that. Like, no. I just think it's just part of this whole wave of electronic music that's happening at the moment. You know, there hasn't been a wave like this since, you know, the early 90s. You know. So I welcome it, really. I think it's great, but there's a lot of just mind-numbingly shit stuff out there that's really massive. But isn't that always the case?
Oh, it's always been that way. It's even the early 90s.
But some of the big guys are really good. You know, I like Deadmau5. Not everything, but occasionally when he hits it, he's a real talent. He's got I don't know if it's widely known, but he's actually he's a very, very good pianist. I think he had some classical training early on, which definitely helped him out. And he's got a great ear for melody and structure, and it's not all about the drop with him. It's about, you know, proper tunes, and I love that, really, because I think if you're gonna do anything, like what we're really into is the tunes, man. You know, like, okay, like, I don't mind abstract weird stuff, but bring it back with a tune, you know. Yeah. Like, I've got to have a tune at some point, otherwise I'll just switch off.
That's it, man. That's it. It's always got to have something there, not just bleeps and whistles, man. If I want to listen to that, I'll listen to my phone. You know?
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to go to the track Underworld from A Fine Day to Exit now, and we'll be back very soon on Rabid Noise.
Hey guys, just want to take a minute to give a shout out to our podcast supporters, RW Promotion, who are the best in the business when it comes to printing posters, flyers, banners, badges, business cards, you name it. They've got what it takes to help you get everything you need to help spread the word about your band or business, and with a blistering turnaround, they'll make sure you get your product ASAP. So get in touch with Richard and the team at www.rwpromotion.com.au.